Build and Learn is all about combining SolidWorks techniques with Lego ingenuity. In this lesson today, I'm going to take you through applying appearances to your model. Now, these appearances at this point are really just about adding colors to the parts so that we can identify a green part from a black and a white. After I've gone through that workflow, I skip ahead and I show you how I ended up using appearances at the end once we finished all the modeling work and we reconsidered how we saved our parts, applied those appearances. There's generally two reasons why I use appearances in my SolidWorks models. Reason one is when I'm creating files to be sent out to a manufacturer, to a toolmaker, and I'm identifying different surfaces of plastic parts which are going to have different finishes. Some might be gloss, some might be machine finished, some might have a texture. Okay, that's reason number one. Reason number two is when I'm exporting for rendering purposes. Let's get into the lesson. What we're going to do before we go too much further is get used to adding colors to our parts. Now later in the course as an advanced subject, I'm going to link our colors to configurations and display states so that we can have different part numbers depending on what color the part is, because I believe that's how they do it when you're selecting Lego. The item number and then they have a color number. But for this course today, we're going to do it in a much simpler way, and that is to add colors by assembly. And so what do we mean by that? Well, let's have a look at our assembly document here and go back to our very first step. This part is white. Now that's my very first plate here. At the moment, everything in my assembly is the default color. If I change the color of this part, as in the file, and I make it, let's say, pink, then any other part, we'll see if it's not linking to configurations. But if I had any more parts in my assembly that were this 2x2, they would also be pink. So even here, this one, if I change that to 2x2, that becomes pink. Now we don't necessarily want that because we can have some parts which are different colors but the same shape and size. So the way to do that is to add a color via our appearances tab. We can do it anyway, but when I dropped it onto this part, you can see instead of assigning it to the part file, I'm going to assign it to this instance of the part within this assembly. And that way, it's only this original one that I've added that to, which will remain blue. All the other copies remain pink, unless I decide to duplicate onto another component. So what we're going to do is not add our colors at a part level, like this pink one here. Well, let me remove that. We're going to add our colors at the assembly level. Now, to do this efficiently, I'm just going to pin my appearances tab here, and we're going to use a medium gloss white or a medium gloss color range. Now we will add more colors than what you can see here in the basics, but for now we will start with this. Our first one will be white. We're going to click, drag onto this component. I'm going to highlight the assembly icon, click OK, and that confirms the white material for that part. Now at the moment, all other parts have what is a default material color assigned. I can actually remove those. I don't know if I can remove them in bulk. Yes, I can. So everything now is to the default gray. Let's go through our assembly steps here and just update the colors for the remaining parts. Green, black. Now you'll notice here the black, it's really dark. I actually have trouble seeing the detail on those parts when they're like this. So I usually don't use the darkest black. I like to bring it up one level. When we do some rendering, we can always tweak exactly what that color is going to be. There's no problem doing that there. Now, when you use a material or apply a material, if you click on a new face or body and you click paste, it's going to paste the same material you last had in the editor, in the appearances editor. This is a very quick way to apply the material to, let's say, all the other black components. So those two there, this one, I think it's here. All right. So it's a pretty quick way of doing that. Now let's keep going through. Now we have a white one here, which is this long one. I can copy the appearance from this selection. Now that selection is copying the only material assigned there, which is to the assembly. The assembly always overrides any other appearances. Okay. And I'm going to paste it on this component here. Let's continue. More black. So I'm going to copy and paste, and we have more black. Now we have a dark grey. There is definitely a difference. We're going to use a dark grey. You can see here there's not that much difference in this file or in this viewport. So again, I'm just going to lighten the grey to the next step up. Some more green and white. So we're going to copy, paste into green, paste and paste. You may notice that my colors look fairly flat. That reason is because I typically work with my real view graphics settings off so that my modeling is more efficient. But how you choose to model and what settings you use is completely up to you. All right, another green one here, more gray on the top. So again, copy, paste, paste. And these ones, are they the same gray or a different gray? These are a lighter gray. Yeah, they're definitely a lighter gray. You can see them here. So we have dark gray on the end, light grey in the middle, light grey one's about to go here. All right, so I've just gone to the lightest grey. Once again, I've just gone from the medium to the light, copied that to this body, and then you can see all of our components have those, not materials assigned, but appearances. The materials, there are no materials assigned to these parts at the moment. It's not something we're going to worry about in this course, but we will do appearances. And we will do a rendering at the end of the project. And hey guys, we've just skipped forward in time. Magic. I want to show you a bit more with assembly appearances. That first, there's a few other tricks that make things a bit easier. And there's a few other things to understand with appearances in general. So let's take just another couple of minutes here to show you some of those details. Once we get to the end of the assembly, as you'll see at the end of the project in the later videos, we do change how we've applied materials, because what we do is we rename all of our parts to the actual part number that is assigned to them by Lego. And that part number also comes with a color. So our plate 2x2 becomes a plate 2x2, which is white. And so what we've done to our parts is now that material or that appearance is actually applied at the part level. Now what that means for our model, our assembly model, is if we make another copy of this 2x2 part here, it's going to have the same color. It's also the same name, 2x2 white. All right. So that changes things a little bit from where we were previously and having appearances applied to all our parts. If I look at this part now, let's just isolate this one, okay? Because we did this one at the very start. So with the pink demonstration, if I click on any part, and I want to see the appearances applied to that part, because you can have appearances at different levels. You can click on this little shortcut icon here for appearances. It's also up to the top here, but the one at the top shows everything for the assembly. We just want to look at this part file. And if I click here, I can see that there is a white appearance added to the assembly, also to the part. Now, because that's the same color, you actually don't notice a difference. I can cross to remove it off the assembly component. It doesn't change a thing. All right. Let's look at another example about how appearances can work at an assembly and then part level. And to do that, we're just going to take this wheel. So let's say we wanted to add, we already know how to do it in the assembly level. Okay, so if we wanted to make the wheel blue and we wanted to make just this version of the wheel blue, I believe, no, there we go. We get an instance of that. So it's just blue. But if I open up this file, I'm going to see that the part file is black. All right, so let's just go back to our assembly and remove that assembly color. All right, so that's black. Now, let's look at the different levels that you can apply a material. First up, you have part file. When you apply color to a part, it applies it to the whole part file. And that can actually be multi-bodies. So if this file had another body over here, which was an extrude, you see that body is also now that same color, all right? Because they both have blue applied, well, blue is applied to the part file. The next level up from the part file is the body. This is where you can have two bodies in one file, but you can have a different color applied to one body than the other. So in this case, I've clicked and dragged a red appearance. I'm going to click it on the wheel body. I'm going to select body to apply that appearance. And you can see this one is red, whereas the original is still blue. The next level up we will apply green is to a feature. Now, a feature could be something like a pattern, like this, or it could be something like a extrude, like this. So you can get very complicated with applying colors to features. Now, if I try to apply it to my feature tree here, like the mirror, you can see it's applying it to everything that was mirrored across, okay? But this face remains red because that's part of the revolve, right? And then the last level at the top, we'll apply yellow, is a face. Now, in this one, I'm going to add it to the L of the Lego logo. I'm going to click on the face button. You can see it's just applying it to that face. So the sides of that L remain green, but the top face is now yellow. All right. Now, if we're looking at a part file, we want to see all of our appearances. We can click on the Appearances tab at the top, under Display Manager, and under View Appearances. And here you can see the colors we've added. Now, if you edit one of those, so let's say we edit the green by going Edit Appearance, it will show us the selections that material has been applied to. And it's also showing us the level, because here you can see it's applied at the feature level. All right. Another way to see that is to just click on something in the viewport. So let's click on the L, because the L is going to have the most things applied to it. And then I click on this little drop-down arrow next to the View Appearances button, and you can see the levels that I was talking about. The face has the yellow, the feature has a green, the body has a red, the part has a blue. If you want to edit any of those features, if you want to edit any of those colors, you can just click on the color here. Let's say I click on the yellow. When I'm in this edit mode, I can change that color. Let's say change it to orange, or let's go purple, something that's just going to stand out a bit more. And while I'm in this edit mode, I can also click on other faces to apply that same appearance. So there's one thing you can do there. The other thing you can do with that little shortcut menu is click the cross, and that's going to remove that appearance from that selection. Now, removing that appearance from the L does not affect the E, G, and O, something to be aware of. If I want to remove the E, G, and O, I can go to the View Appearances tab and see that purple color. I can right click and go Remove Appearance. There we go. So I'm not going to get too much further into the detail on this. There are some more advanced topics on appearances and colors. We'll cover that in another bonus lesson one day. But I hope this was helpful. And yeah, your models always look better when you've got some appearances applied to differentiate your different bodies or features or things like that. So thanks. See you in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate that. This has been the LEGO Build and Learn series by Fully Defined. If the next video has been released, it'll be on the top link to your right. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment below with what you'd like to see next. Your feedback is what motivates me to provide more content. See you in the next one.